And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Foundational Foundry. Like I kind of said in the chat there, I don't really have much of a schedule for this morning, but I know this was something that has been requested a couple of times. People want to see the module list I use for Foundry, and kind of how I use them, how I kind of sneak look at what my GM screen looks like, so to speak. So that's probably what we're going to be doing this morning, for the most part. Depending on how busy or quiet we are, I'm probably going to go through mostly just the basics. And if we get enough people, I might go through some of the news for the morning. Gadgets and gears? Hell yeah. I might go through some of the stuff that's recently come out. I know the field test for Starfinder, the latest one with the Mystics can't come out, and that's causing something of a stir. I also have Eldamon, which I haven't had a look at yet, but we're gonna see how we go. Anyway, here's my launch screen for Foundry. You can see it's kind of a mess of things that I've been looking at and experimenting with recently. Cyberpunk's been cropping up a lot for me lately. I want to have a look at that. And Salvage Union there. But otherwise, we're gonna create a world. Foundation. Oh, where is it? Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There we go. Now, one of the first things you're going to see when we jump in here is you're going to see a massive module list, and I don't use all the stuff that's on there. Yes, well, where are the remasters coming? Like a month away or something. So, first thing I always do. Always create a landing screen. Always. Because sometimes it just Foundry won't let you do a bunch of stuff unless you do. Otherwise, welcome to my month list. Some of these are things that I've had on here since I first started using Foundry. Others, I don't really use them at all. We're going to be pretty much going through the stuff that I mainly use for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but some of these are in fact universal. And I know there's a lot, and I know it looks somewhat intimidating, but like I said, some of these are very much use-based. But the essentials. Now, if you've watched any Foundry tutorials on modules and what modules to use, this first one is probably going to come up very easily. Dice so nice. It just makes the whole experience of rolling the dice just that much better. Very, very many things. I tend to also use Dice Tray. We'll activate Dice So Nice. We're going to be reloading and restarting a lot. And just quickly, because once again, I know most people have already done a lot of this. You can set your dice specifically for how you do it. I tend to just go with a nice purple. And that's done. Slash roll d20. Bam. Nice and pretty. But one thing I do down here is I use a module called Dice Tray. Now for Dice Tray, it's a very simple change, but mostly what it does is just gives you some extra functionality. So instead of having to type out a command if you want to use a die roll, like for instance I had to do /r d20, then I can literally just go d20 roll. So if I need to do something quickly on the fly, if I just need a quick binary odds evens, then I have it quickly at my disposal. Likewise, you can add modifiers to it. Like so, roll, and then it resets for you. And it just makes it so easy. And I got 12 both times, there you go. Once again, this is more a quality of life thing. It speeds things up for me when I'm trying to do a lot of stuff on the fly. Now, back to our modules. Now, a lot of these are probably going to look a little much, but the other one that I kind of consider a must-have for Pathfinder 2 is Drag Ruler, which has a dependency called socketlib, which basically extends out your programming language so it can actually do it. Oh, sorry, Lucutus, I didn't see that. I'm mostly just going through my mod list and basically showing what I do and how I do it. Drag Ruler. And we're specifically going to do the Pathfinder 2e Drag Ruler integration. Then we're going to create a test. And what Drag Ruler does is it gives you that nice measured out. Let's zoom in a little. That's a little too far. It gives you that nice measurement there where it changes colors if you're going past what your normal movement speed is. Drag Ruler is one of those things that if the current build of Foundry doesn't support it, I won't install it. This is one of those things that you probably might not need in your home games, but for when you're streaming and stuff like that, all the modules that I use are all chosen in a way to lower the cognitive burden on doing what I need to do. That's pretty much the priorities that I set for it. If it's gonna be a lot of effort to use something, I don't want it. I don't mind doing a little background work first, but that's Drag Ruler. That works for PCs and also works for NPCs and your monsters. Go back to the modules. And honestly, kind of with Dice So Nice, Dice Tray, and Drag Ruler, I could be done. I could run a very simple, very basic game just using those ones. But we're going into some of the more advanced stuff. So, now to get really confusing. So, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of Molinet. It is I don't want to say recent, because I've been using it for like 6 months or something at this point. But it's a search engine aggregator for Patreon content. So, I'm going to activate Mollet Core. And then I'm going to activate all the other things that come with it. Yes. Alright, let's open it. Now, in order to use it, you need to integrate with Patreon. But what it does is it tells you which ones you have. I'm subscribed to Chepeku Molinet because you need to be subscribed to actually use the one. I know it's a cost thing, but it's like $3 a month. And Chepeku scenes. But what it enables me to do, and this is one of those speed things I keep talking about, is I can go into the search engine and I can be like, I need in a hurry a forest. And it immediately gives me a bunch of forest maps that I can use. Particularly, we'll just select one. I like the forest shrine. And we import the scene. It will create its own folder here, and then do artist here, and then go into the actual one itself. And there you have the map. Now, in particular with this, one of the big reasons I use it is when you import the scene, it does the walls for you. The walls are all done. You don't have to go through and do any of it yourself. If it has ambient music and lighting, that is all built into it. It just makes things so much simpler, so much easier. Especially if my players are doing something unexpected and I need to generate a battle map in a hurry. And the grid's already done for you. I know one of the biggest annoyances that I have when pulling battle maps from online is making sure that the grid lines up. Because you'll have some people who don't have the grid going all the way to the edge, and you'll have others who do all sorts of other weird stuff with it, and it just makes things difficult. So having a ready means to actually just drag and drop one is really helpful. Now, another thing you can do with Molinet is it has this tiles and tokens search function. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Abomination Vaults, you're about to see a couple of things that will be familiar to you. That is a 16 by 16 by the looks of things. No, wait, that is 8 by 8. And essentially, using tiles like this is how I did Abomination Vaults, particularly the Golden Light Keep. How I fixed it up from being the trash pile that it starts as to being something that the players can actually use. See, now I'm just being pedantic and making sure it all lines up, but you don't have to. One of the good things with tiles, however, is you can just go into here and be like 800 by 800. And I'll do it for you. But likewise with this kind of thing, I can go back into Molinet. Campfire. Fire. Now, if I'm lucky, there'll actually be a... Also, I will say, with the exception of the Cheipeku stuff, this all comes free with Molnet. As he scrolls through a bunch of Cheipeku stuff. Like, all the stuff from online tabletop, that's not me. I will shout out right now, Sheppy Rodriguez, if you're into like isometric play, like stuff that's more reminiscent of CRPGs, you should be following Sheppy. And that's... And we go bedroll. Speaking of Sheppy. And very quickly, using Molnet, you can have a little campsite very quickly. It also does tents. So you can pull in tents and things like that. You could also have tentacles. Just the sheer amount of options you have, and if you subscribe to the Patreons for any of these creators that they have in here, you get access to the entire library that you have through their Patreon. As long as you're on the right thing and everything else like that. I'm not subscribed to most of these, because, oh boy, I do not have that much money. Cheipeku, absolutely though. I tend to do a lot of stuff with that's either coastal or near aquatic, and Cheipeku have the best maps for it. But that's Molnet. We're just gonna delete these quick. Now, quality of life. Because once Molnet's installed, we should move on to monks. So, if you spend enough time in the Foundry modding scene or the modules and stuff like that, you'll probably come across people talking about monk. There's a good reason for that. His modules are top-notch. Monk's many mods, yeah. No, look. You don't always have to use all these. For instance, I rarely use the active tile triggers. I know some people use tile triggers to do stuff with automated traps and things like that, because you can set it up so when a player steps on a certain section of the grid, a trap automatically activates. I don't really think that's necessary, but two things that I think are very necessary. One, monk scene navigation, because holy shit. And token bar. Now, the token bar creates... I'll bring this up here so people can actually have a proper look from the center. It creates this little thing. This has been so very helpful to me throughout all my plays. and streams ever since I had it installed. Because oh, that's right, I need to add a player first. And you'll see that it immediately adds the 2 tokens that I have down here to the bar. This gives me a quick look at, I can see what their armor class is and what their passive perception thing. So if they are surprised and something attacks them without them knowing, I immediately have a good way to just glance over, see what their armor class is. I also have their passive, like their perception DC, or their passive perception if you're using 5E, which is also extremely helpful for stealths and ambushes if they're being snuck up upon. Also, has this little button where you can just slam that, and without actually pausing the game, you can make it so that none of the tokens can move. Just that no movement thing at all for all the tokens on the bar just makes things so much easier. So if you have one player who has accidentally moved their token a little bit too far ahead and into a combat encounter, you can just slam down the no movement and then the fun can begin. But as another little added bit of functionality to this thing, you can right click on the tokens in the bar and you get given all these options. You can specifically no movement for one. So if they stand, for instance, on a trap that causes their movement to stop, or if they're just launching ahead altogether, you can do that. But you can also right click on the token and send a private message, and it will automatically type that up into the chat bar for you, and then you can send a private message to them. Hello. So if you need to whisper something to a player, instead of having to go in here and start tapping, you can just right click and do the private message thing. You can add additional things to the bar. By default, it adds any player side tokens. You can change it so that it includes all NPCs on the field. Considering the amount of NPCs I tend to play with, I don't usually do that, and I don't think it's necessary. But your table, your rules, I will always stand by that. Now, the other module I just put on from Monks right then was scene navigation, and I'll show you why I use that one. First things first, it adds these folders up here. And does a lot of little quality of life things. Let's move you down here. Because usually what you have to do is you have to right click, view scene, or right click, activate. Now, if I need to have a quick look at a map the players will be going to, or have already been to, or if I need to make it adjustments for a future encounter that's going to happen, which happens a lot, instead of having to do that, I can simply one click and it'll jump me to it. I know it seems like a very small thing, but it's been super helpful to me a lot. We are actually going to add another scene, because I want to show up some other things. Scenes. I can see it being nice if you're doing a lot of scene juggling. Yes. I will specifically call out Abomination Vaults again, because I will have the players will sometimes just be like, hey, so we're gonna go back up top now after we've had this combat. I'll be like, okay. And I might have to do some shifting of tokens and all sorts of other things. But by way of... that's still importing. My experience has been the party all moving together and staying on the same map for the whole session. Yeah. Usually that's how it goes. You might have to do 1 or 2 scene transitions, but that's about it. Boom. This is one of those maps where I'm very glad it just drops in the walls for you. 'Cause that's a lot of walls. I do not envy whoever had to go through and do all that. Though I will say I always find it kind of funny. Because this is like the usual 5-foot square. Most Minotaurs are large sized, so this is a maze that a Minotaur can't actually navigate. But that's mostly me doing a funny hee-hoo. But we are dealing with we will actually do that now. Another module that I use a fair bit. This is one of those ones where you don't need it, but I put it on because it just... I hate having to scrape for tokens, I really do. Pathfinder Token Pack Bestiaries. Bam. Yes, re-erase it in. Yeah, nothing like a Minotaur having to squeeze through a maze. Mini-tours? Many mini-tours. Now, if people aren't aware, basically what the Token Pack Bestiaries does is if the creature exists in a bestiary, they have a token for it, and it's already installed and ready to go. And it's all pretty, and it does like the overhang thing, and it sets it up all nice. Now, the reason I've done this is so I can show you one of the things that seems to be coming up a fair bit, and is becoming something of a minimum standard for streamers. Yeah, I've been looking at those token packs more and more fondly. I hope they do more of them in the future. Now, we're going to be seeing something similar with the Pathfinder Society module, because that will apparently have tokens for everything built into it. But I hope they do something for the Lost Omens books and for the other books. For instance, I would love a token pack for the Book of the Dead. I can't tell you the amount of times I have not put together a fight with a creature from Book of the Dead because there is no token for it. I'm still saving images from Nephis and doing it manually, which is fine for now. Yeah, look, if I particularly want a creature, it's what I do. I use Token Stamp, but if I have to do a bunch for something, yeah. But PF2E animation macros. This has a lot of dependencies that you need to have active. Warp gate, automated animations sequencer. Automated animations, one of the most important ones, because it means that you don't have to authorize it and it turns it off for you. And yeah, when you go through the process of installing any of these modules, if they have any dependencies, they will do it for you automatically. Now, this one, you need a JB2A module enabled to use the PF2E animations module. We are going to do that right now. You don't... Jules and Ben's animated assets, they do have a Patreon where you can get a bunch of their other stuff, and they have a huge animation library. You don't need it. You can just grab the free content pack, enable, save module. It's going to come up with this, doing their advertising, which I'm completely happy with. That should all be working fine. I've never had to go into this. It just kind of does a lot of it for you. But we're gonna go into our tester, give him some innate spell casting, and we're gonna, no, that should be fine. I need a spell for our boy. I'm probably gonna grab just trying to remember one that I know has a thing. And no electric arc does. So we're gonna grab electric arc. I'm gonna go over to YouTube and say, yes, I am still watching. I am listening intently. Just gonna drag a second Minotaur onto the field, because we are going to do... Now, targeting multiple creatures. If you're getting your players to do this so it shows up properly, they need to do the targeting first before they cast the spell. But it should be Shift, T, T. And that will target both creatures. Then they should be able to cast the spell. And they should be able to click that. And it will do the animation for you. This also works with... That's what I can use. This also works with Magic Missile. And it will split up the targets for you. Right? So pretty. Yes. I did actually need to drink some water, so thank you for that. We're gonna give them back a usage of Magic Missile, because I want to show off that you can cast it on 3 targets at once. And I'll split up the animations for you. Name the test sheet Goober. Alright. Do you know how draining these animations are on people with wonky setups? They're all WebM based. If you talk about people who are on, well, what tends to be called potatoes, or computers that aren't really up for it, they can be a little bit draining. I know Jules, who plays Nathana in the Abomination Vaults, can struggle with them. Bad PCs and slow connections. Well, we might actually go to the next one then. They can be a little bit draining. I will say that up front. What you can do, however, this module needs to be updated. It really does, but it's called Potato or Not. No, I'm not going to do the prompt. Basically, it allows you to, Potato or Not will show this dialogue whenever a new player joins your game, and they can pretty much select it. I tend to go for Potato even on my computer. But what this will do is, for instance, if they click on a cheap potato, it will automatically turn off a lot of... It is funny. Some people can find it a little bit insulting, but what it does is it deals with a lot of the graphics and connection issues that people will be having. So, for instance, the pretty effects, if their computer can't really handle it, if you select a cheap potato, it should disable a lot of that. It'll also drop the graphical settings for a lot of this stuff, so it runs a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother. We're gonna close that, however. I like Potato or Not. I've used it a couple of times. But that's the animation one. Next modules. Now, one of the things that we're gonna zoom in on our boy here. One of the things that can get really annoying for, I know, for players and GMs is particularly when it comes to certain effects, shall we say, grabbed. You get the three little icons there that kind of squished up, which is fine to begin with. But then you have persistent damage. Which kind of happens pretty often. And then they might get enfeebled and frightened, get knocked to the ground. And then a player will want to help them, so they get quickened, so on and so forth. And you'll notice this starts to get filled up really quickly. One of the things that I use, but you're going to see that it changes a lot of little things. Where are you? Filter modules. PF2E Duraco UI. Click that. And you'll notice it does a lot of things real quick. One of the first things it does, it removes the Foundry icon from the top there. You can put that back manually. But it also kind of cleans this up a little bit and gives it those nice curves that you see on my streams. But. You see this? Like, these really cool circular things that go around the sides here. Duraco UI is how it's done. Yeah, Duraco is one of the ones that gets used a lot. I don't think it's a must-have, but I feel like people should use it more often. If for nothing else but for that. It's not so bad with medium tokens, but with Princess Punchface, for instance, who's tiny-sized, if I had all the debuffs and effects on them the standard way, shall we say, the older streams you will have seen that she gets filled up quickly and the token can just get overtaken. Whereas this, it's a lot easier, and even when we put it on a bad guy, it kind of shows up around the edges there. So you can still see the art nice and clearly, it still looks nice and pretty. Now, another one. I do use ambient doors. We're just going to install that now. I think ambient doors is one of those ones that people have been using since day dot. Fine. I'm not sure why it didn't just prompt me to install that automatically, but we're going to put on lib wrapper as well. But ambient doors does that thing that we've all heard numerous times. It's just a simple open-close sound that it plays every time. Now, game settings, manage modules. I'm specifically looking for don't think it's inline table mod. Party Review is one I'm probably going to be uninstalling soon, just because with the latest PF2 engine that's come out, it just comes built in. We'll be going through these two a little while later. Alright, so, a couple of things. PF2E flat check. This is one I've been using more and more often lately. Extempore effects, one I've also been using a lot more recently. And PF2E target damage. These three do a couple of little things, which I will go through the demonstrations for now. Alright, let's take off all these effects, because we kind of don't need them. We are, however, going to give our boy... Let's bump his level up to like 10. Because I want to give him Fireball. Clear all filters, just show me Fireball. Just Fireball, nothing but Fireball. Now. Oh, what? See, now I've got to remember which one it was. Target damage, thank you. Alright. So, if the player does this right, what you can do with this one, target, 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 and then cast Fireball. It'll put in line these options here. So I can do roll all, and it will let me know whether they were successes or not. Then I drop my burst. We have a pretty little effect. And then when I hit the damage button, we have a damage down here. And instead of having to click, bam, it instead highlights which ones for each. And I can just do half, damage, half. Beautiful, yes? Honestly, PF2E target damage has been an absolute lifesaver for me. And when you're done with the little template thing, oh, they don't have it for everyone. That's fine. Some of the spells will allow you, will have a built-in thing where you can just delete the template once you've used it. But that's mostly what I use for this. Now, for the flat check one, you're probably going to be able to guess what that does. We're going to make our boy here concealed. And we're going to give Ray of Frost, I believe, will be the best one. So, he's currently hidden. We're going to target him with the Ray of Frost. Well, guess what? PF2E flat check will roll it for you. If you target the creature that has concealment, it'll just roll it for you. This works for invisible, everything else like that. So even if you're dazed, or dazzled, I should say. So we'll target him instead and cast our Ray of Frost. It will do the flat check for you. Which, you're not the only one, Ninzad. It's one of the things that I forget about, especially when you have a lot of creatures who are hidden and concealed. If you have creatures that are invisible and use those kind of effects, I just forget. You know, as a GM, you have a lot of stuff going on. And having something that kind of just takes care of it for you, it just makes life so much easier. Alright. How are we doing for time? We're actually getting through some stuff. Nice. Nice. One I've been... This will be more for if you have... Alright. Let me recollect my thoughts. First things first. If you have someone who likes to use the animal companions, PF2E Companion Compendia is somewhat essential. Is what that does, we're going to create a new actor called Horse. Then we're going to go to our compendiums. Companion Compendia. We're going to grab our horse. It is a large size horse. It does all the calculations for you. If you want to do, for instance, it goes to mature sized, you can drop the mature on it and it'll do the calculations for you again. Now, I show all this because I'm going to one of the things I run into a lot as companion functionality like this should be in the general PF2 module. I absolutely agree. You're not alone. A lot of people actually very much agree with you on this. I'm not sure why they haven't done a companion sheet yet. I'm going to chalk it up to the fact that the main people who do like the sheets and things for the Pathfinder 2 engine have been busy with the Kingmaker one. But it's something that I think a lot of people really want and is kind of needed. But token attacher. There are a lot of things that you can do with this module, but I'm going to do one of the absolute most simplest things possible with it. You have to go to your compendium. You're going to need two functions. TA mount up. Drop that to your bar. And then dismount. Now, what we can do with token attacher, particularly if you have a player who uses animal companions they mount on upon, such as a horse, your player targets their mount, mount up. And what this means is now, whenever the companion moves, the player's token moves as well. And when you want to dismount, you have to be targeting this, but then you click dismount, and you can get off. I said, get off. Use that one instead. Flawless. They can. Alright, so I'll show mount up. They can move anywhere on the token. It can be a little bit fiddly. There's a lot of other stuff you can do with token attacher. You can attach tiles and lighting effects and stuff like that. I would, however, suggest you instead of go to a tutorial. Like, look it up on YouTube. Token attacher is how I'm doing the ships in Hoist the Colors, for instance, now. And it's been super effective so far. We're probably going to see a lot more combat-based stuff with them in the near future. But for the very simple use that most people will run into, where it's a case of players are on a wagon, or players are mounted on a horse, or a terror bird, or whatever else, token attacher just makes things easier. However, this brings up a difficult problem. I have selected my companion. This is great and stuff, but what if I want to select Goober? I cannot do this. This is where one of my new favorite modules comes into it. I believe it is Stack UI. Token. Hover token rescue HUD. This is a really simple module. Adds a really simple function. So, when I scroll over the horse, it'll have this little icon down the bottom, which is for Goober. I can select that, and it'll select Goober for me. This is particularly helpful for players with animal companions, or for instance, as you'll see in Hoist the Colors, Sunshine uses the HUD for their swarm companion, because quite often the swarm will be integrating with the same spot as others. I also use it for tiny size characters, Princess Punchface and Abomination Vaults. Makes a lot of use of this, because you can use the token bar down the bottom here. It's not always useful, it's not always helpful, whereas having a ready HUD up here that I can select and go to makes it a lot easier for me. Recently I've been very much about trying to make mounted combat and vehicle combat be as smooth as possible, because I believe it's an angle in Pathfinder 2 that can be used a little bit more readily, and I don't know, I just enjoy the idea behind it. And I have ideas for campaigns in the future that will utilize vehicles in a more expansive manner, so getting the foundational work done already. Also, with announcements regarding Starfinder 2, yeah, look, Starfinder 2 I think is going to be using a lot of vehicles, and there's going to be a lot of vehicle rule sets for them. So the sooner I have a good idea of how to get that functioning on a VTT like Foundry, the better. Otherwise, another module that I use a lot, Token Action HUD. Now, to get this functioning, you need the core one first, and then for Pathfinder 2e specifically. One day I will play a witch with the vehicle archetypes that is built for riding her witch cauldron in battle. It's something I want to work on. I'm honestly surprised they don't have an animal companion that's a cauldron. Or just kind of like an animated object. Now, what the token HUD does is this is one of the quickest, speediest, and easiest ways for me to do anything in this system. How about we move you down? to there. Then we can lock you up again. Now, what the token HUD does, nice and simple. This token HUD is not as useful for players, especially once they start getting in the upper levels and have a lot of spells and things. But for me as the GM, we're going to target our horse. It means I can quickly go into here, and I have my strikes at the ready, I have my actions at the ready, and I have the inventory, and I also have attributes and skills. So, strike. There's an actual medium-sized vehicle, which is a magic cauldron as well. Ooh, I'm gonna have to have a look at that. Because I know there's the walking cauldron, that's a small one. And I know there's a alchemical vehicle from Guns and Gears, which is basically a controlled explosion that moves a vehicle. But that's the token HUD. It also allows me to do things like athletics, and I can just roll it. Boo, yeah. Now the attributes here are more for if you're rolling initiative, for instance. There's no active encounter. Let's just put him to combat. Now if I go into attributes and roll athletics, that will give him his initiative. What's that? A mysterious link? Oh, yes! But I want a smaller one. Like, I want something that's not for flight. Like, give me a walking one first, and then we'll go to the flying. Oh, it's from... That's why I haven't seen it. It's from an AP. Of course it's from Bloodlords. Whenever there's something weird, it's usually either Dark Archives or Bloodlords. But yeah, that's the token HUD. Like I said, it does work for players as well, because they'll have all this. You can also select the hero points and increase or decrease as possible. Left click to go up, right click to go down, as is usual. This could also be, they could also use this for saves and things like that. With higher level characters, when they start really stacking out their actions and their spells, it gets a lot harder to use. Because you can tell from here, this is fine, but they have a separate line for each spell. Well, sorry, for each spell rank, so it fills up very quickly. I know with Sal the Magician, my Anati Wizard, at level 15 I think he's at now, it's a bit much, so I just pop out. The modules I have activated now are pretty much, once again, you don't really need them, but they are helpful. Compendium folders is once again something that you don't really need as much anymore. It used to be super useful, but weather effects. Let's get into that. FX Master is what I use for most of the weather effects that I do. Foundry has some built into the ambience. So you can go to configure. You do have a couple that comes with it, but notice how I have installed FX Master, and all of a sudden I have a lot more. These can give you things like and all of a sudden we have little crows flying across the scene. Now, as for where it actually exists, effect controls. Suddenly, labyrinth birds. Do note, however, if you've activated something in the ambience for the scene itself, it doesn't activate here as well. Crows are considered a particle effect, however, but just so there's no confusion. Rats too. Rats, save changes. There's one. The following is not for the squeamish. The good thing about FX Master you can manually adjust how many there are. Speed's probably not something you need. But if you want to get weird... you can increase their size. Yeah, no, look, if it respects the walls as well, that'd be great. I think it is outside of the scope for it, though. So we're just gonna shrink our rats back down to their regular size. But you could also turn down the opacity for them. So if you want it to be more of a background thing. I know some people have arachnophobia, so I'm not gonna activate that one. But if you, for instance, want to have a particular area that's swarming with spiders, I know it doesn't respect the whole map, but only the players where they can see will see it. So if they walk into a cavern that's filled with spiders, and you just have them crawling around in the background, that would be super creepy for everyone involved. All in the name of immersion. We are going to take off those for now, though. Because this is something else you can do, and you've probably seen me do this if you watch the streams. You can add weather effects such as rain. This is something that is actually built into the Foundry itself. I tend to feel like the FX Master one's a little bit better. To your earlier question though, Ninzad, how much of a burden is this on like laptops and things like that? It can get a little bit much, especially when you start stacking things on top. That would be super creepy and really mean of the GM to use. Yes, very mean, yeah. But something you can do, particularly with rain, we're going to switch to night. Actually, we might leave that for now. YouTube's asking me if I'm still watching or not. I'm going to close the particle effects because we can see that it's still raining. Filter effects. I don't use a lot of these, but one that I use a fair bit is the lightning one. Well, you wouldn't use weather effects for everything. Uh, there is another effect that you can do that adds the lightning bolts that go with it, like the sound of the thunder. I was kind of hoping it would do it for me. That said, you can always pull out a thunder clip effect from somewhere else. What really takes performance is diffuse cloud effects, etc. Yeah. Speaking of, but as you can tell, it's just a nice ambient effect. You can have the rain going, the flashes happening. As for fog, it's a little bit intense. The top layer of gold light is really chunky with all the little swamp stank effects. Yeah. You can turn a lot of those off though. Most of those are just lighting functions, and you can just delete them if it's being a little bit too hexy for everyone. It's a nice little detail that goes in the background, but using what they've used for the gold light is probably the best way to do these kind of effects that respects walls and things like that. The fog effect is good. I'm going to be using the fog effect in a upcoming one-shot that I want to be running, where it has a couple of scenes that use a lot of fog. So this is what I will be using for it. We're going to take those two off though. Now, it has other things. Underwater is a bit trippy. Just kind of distorts things a little bit, so it gives that underwater feel. You might see this in an upcoming Hoist the Colors game. You might not. Predator. Now, one of the things that has been suggested to me for use as a Predator is if you're running something like Cyberpunk and you want to kind of show the stream and the players that they're being watched, you could just switch it from the normal and you put the Predator filter over the top, and suddenly the players get this feeling that, oh, we're actually being watched on cameras. Great, this is great, I love this. Good Starfinder material? Yes. Old film. I have an idea that if I ever run like a pulp adventure game using Savage Worlds or something, I want to use this old film filter for when they're doing the recap. Because it's like, previously on our adventures. Perfect for the Tianjia Samurai campaign. Yeah. Because yeah, you can just do your recaps while you have the old film going on, and then you just turn it off when you're done. Speaking of, let's turn off the weather. Oh, this is also one I haven't used in a very long time. You can set embers to be going. In Trouble's Menacing Atari, for that game, when they went through, when someone set Atari on fire, I used the embers filter to give that extra effect of the town actually burning. And I combined that with because I don't know if any of you who are watching this either live or the YouTube have been in a situation where there is fire all around you and the sky has been darkened with smoke. Everything just kind of gets this orangey red filter to it. So if you want to put that across using something like a color filter combined with the embers, and then you have a couple of animated flaming effects going around in the background, presents that awesomely and really helps with the immersion of the whole thing. If you have some ambient effects going on in the background that are doing like a crackling flame, then it just amplifies it up all so much. Mandatory effect for any party that includes a goblet or sunshine. Yeah, well. Much to my shame, I did not pull out a flame animation for Sunshine's arson quickly enough. But we can turn those off. But yeah, that's FX Master. It just adds a couple of really cool things. This is for... honestly, I want to use this menu. If you want to dig deep into sequencing effects and stuff like that, I know there are people out there where they programmed it so that when you strike someone and they take damage, blood splatter happens. I know people have used it for Roll20 as well to great effect. I try to err on the side of doing less work more than more, because I already put a huge amount of work into my games, so I usually don't dig into this. If you want to start digging into sequencing and all that other stuff, I would recommend going onto YouTube and finding tutorials for it. They exist, there are a lot of them. Now, that's it for FX modules, I think. So, we've got about 40 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions before I start going to some of the other optional modules that I use? Get them loaded up, because we're going to go into Health Estimate just quickly. Health Estimate is a super simple one. It is a quality of life thing. I know some GMs are against its use. I personally like to use it just because I think it's helpful. And Health Estimate is the thing that just does the injured up top. So a player can just kind of scroll over and see, okay, they're barely injured, they're near death, they are etc. I consider this a quality of life thing because I think it's exceptionally dumb that players have been hacking away at a creature for the better part of 3 rounds, and when a player says, "Oh, how's the creature looking?" the GM turns around and goes, "Well, do a medicine check," or, "Oh, you're not sure, you don't have access to his health bar." I think that's dumb as fuck. Just let a ready indication for the player to be like, yeah, no, he's looking pretty badly injured, or, you know, his arm is almost falling out and we have carved open his stomach, he's about to die. That shouldn't require a roll or a check, and I don't think that should be secret information. I don't use it, but I effectively do the same thing manually by freely describing it, whichever way you want to do it. That's how I used to do it. I still do that at the moment, but I tend to rely a little bit more on the health estimate thing, just so players aren't asking me about every single creature. Some of them I like to describe. And I think I mentioned this in either the Hijinks server or my own server on Discord. You don't have to give mechanical information, but you should give out meta information to your players. Particularly something as obvious as regeneration or fast healing. You strike at the Minotaur, slicing open his tendons with your sword. But as your sword comes clean and the blood spray goes across the ground, you watch with horror and fascination as the wound begins to close. Like, dude, that's letting the player know that it has regeneration or fast healing without being like, it heals 5 hit points every turn. I might use this just so nobody doesn't accidentally get the wrong impression, yeah. Because look, I do it sometimes as well. I'll just grab a creature and they'll be like, oh, okay, he's not that bad. Then I'll look over and it's like, that's near death. Also, let's be honest, some creatures are just hard to describe. Like, how do you describe an injured ooze? How do you describe a gibbering mouther is near dead? It looks near dead from the start. Same with undead. Huh, you've nearly destroyed that skeleton. How can you tell? I don't know. It's already falling apart. Other ones. Oh. This is kind of a secret source thing. I posted on Twitter once and it got a little bit of a uptick, but I think people should know about it a little more. Quick combat. We're gonna activate this, but we're also gonna activate, I believe, I should have a music sampler. I like Michael Gelfi. We're currently listening to him, so we're gonna activate that one as well. This might take a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a playlist. Compendium. Import both of these, because one will be music, one will be ambience. Now, the reason I've created a third playlist, I'm going to set that to simultaneous playback. Oh, I added it twice. That's me being a derp. That's fine. Alright, so what you're seeing here with the Michael Gelfi music, this is all I used for Troubles Menacing Atari. Beyond what actually came with the beginner box manual. The beginner box module, sorry. But we're going to start playing that. Now you should start hearing that on stream. Now, so we have just a nice little music playing in the background for when our players are exploring and doing their thing. Now, configure settings. We're going to find our quick combat. Originally, quick combat was not for Pathfinder 2e, it was specifically for 5e, but recently it's been picking up steam and they've extended out the usages for it a lot. This top one is what we're after though. Set combat playlists. Configure. We're going to add just making sure. You can add a fanfare. It's what I've done for my games. That. Alright. Now, if I've done this properly, our boy is already ready for combat. We're going to put our horse into combat as well. Sorry, it's a minion, so we're going to have to put Goober in. Oh no, he rolled a 6. And with quick combat, it automatically changes the playlist for you. You have the option within it to choose a playlist. I have this activated for Abomination Vaults because there's... Belcora has her own theme, so having the ability to choose a playlist, you can choose it to match the vibe of what you're going for with combat. I'm going to start using it as well to... I've been doing chases a lot more recently, and I have a soundtrack specifically for chases. So I will have one for combat, one for chases. We're going to activate that. And when you press the end encounter, it automatically switches the music back. It comes up with all this as well. You can disable this in quick combat. I don't use experience. But if you are using experience, then you can simply go 200. And you can give the player the experience points. Oh, it didn't work. Well, there you go. Yeah. Already doing mood and flavor playlist? Yeah. No, that's... Especially if you're doing... If you want that immersion, like that real feel to it, it's the best way to do it. Or it's one of my favorite ways to do it. You can also attach the fanfare. I've already gone through that though. But just so as a demonstration, we're going to put it out to back into combat. Because now I've activated the choose list. It will give you the option to play none at all. I've currently got this playlist set up as sounds. Usually I will have a playlist that's called combat, one that's called chase. And this gives you the option. If you just want it to be eerily quiet, you can go none, or once again. And I'll just say again, these two packs, like the ambience and the music, they're free. Michael Gelfi puts them up on Foundry. It's a Foundry module. You can literally just look for Michael Gelfi music. There's also D20 music and a couple of others. They have free modules up that are samplers of their music packs. You don't have to go onto their Patreons and subscribe to them. I recommend you do for Michael Gelfi just because the man's been making music and ambiences for TTRPGs for years now, like even back in the Roll20 days, like a decade. It feels like he's been doing this for a decade. And there's a reason he's well respected within the industry. But that's all the ambiences for his free stuff. Like this is expanded since last time I looked at it. Hey, Lakitos. God, I love that though. And just that quick switch, it feels so nice. We're just gonna keep that playing for a little while, because I'm happy with it. That is on loop already. Perfect. Stuff that I use a lot. Maestro was one of my attempts to... was a module that was originally suggested for me to do what Quick Combat does. Quick Combat just does it better. PF2E, a shopping experience. This is one of those ones where it's more of a fun little module than anything else. Reload. Oh, there we go. Add. Now we'll give him the experience points. There we go. If you want to do that. However, now what shopping experience does is it adds these two folders, Atari and Common. The Atari shops are for if you're running the beginner's box and troubles around Atari. This is a compendium of all the shops that you will find in Atari with the items that they probably have on them. Crooks Nooks, Blades for Glades. It has all the stuff already built in there for you. So if you have a shopping episode coming up, instead of having to manage a lot of the stuff yourself, you can just drop a bunch of them. Now, as for the common shops one, as you can see, it gives you a shop for every level that the players are dealing with. There is not fully extensive, and some levels are not covered. Sorry, not some levels. Some items are not covered. But for instance, level 2, you have a shop for a level 2 merchant. And all of them come with a little bit of description kind of thing. I've used these before in Abomination Folds as like a rotating merchant pool. And as always, once you've actually imported these into your game, you can always just swap and change what's in there. But the descriptions on the side give you a brilliant little narrative hook or a description that you can use. That's weapons, and we'll go level 18 apparel. And our merchant is now reset for the proper level. And that's for level 18. And as always, just by way of demonstration, I'm just going to drag the upgrowth there. Goober's not going to be able to afford any of these, but there's your merchant. Something I want to experiment with in the future and do is a kind of a level 1 to 20 magic shop, but I want to set it up so it's using token attacher and it's all integrated. So when players walk in, the store will change and certain sections will be cut off or unavailable to them depending on their level. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to that extent, but having lockable curtains and rooms like that, that's something I can actually do. It's something I'm going to need to work with in Dungeon Draft. If I can figure out how to do it properly and make it look nice, then I will probably utilize it. Because I am currently working on a bunch of stuff that I want to put on PFI for sale. I'm working on one-shots and stuff like that. I'm learning formatting and layouting and all that other fun stuff. Well, my idea with the magic shop is that it won't be it'll be the one shop, but there'll be multiple merchants, that players can access. So for instance, if they're after magic weapons, there's the section to look there. If they're after magic potions, there's that section. Yeah, if you can segment it, that's the way to do it, which is the plan. It'll be kind of like a bazaar that's built into one area. There was a point in time where I was working on a Grand Bazaar module to do the same thing, but it was based on the actual book, and I wasn't sure if there'd be much demand for it, and it's kind of like free content and effort, essentially. Whereas the Arcane Terminus is something that I've used in previous games, and it's something I want players to come back to in the future. But that is PF2E, a shopping experience. I'm actually really looking forward to Gatewalkers, because it'll be a clean install, I guess will be the best way to put it. Modifiers Matter isn't one I'm going to go into a huge amount of detail with. I use it with players who will often be like, hey, I don't feel like the +1 or the -1 is doing anything. Because what Modifiers Matter does is it just highlights those modifiers when they do actually matter. It's very much on one that knows what it does. Pop out, player side thing. The GM can't really use it, particularly on the Foundry screen. But when most players who have experience with Foundry will ask that you use it, because pop out, it basically just lets you pop out all the things to different browser pages. So for instance, I need it for whenever I'm playing as a player, because I have to pop out my character sheet so I can still have a good look at the attack map. Pop out resizer is an interesting one. At some point in the future, I might go through with how I set up my stream for actual plays, but I will say now that pop out resizer is essential for that. Simple calendar. Yeah, look, simple calendar is outdated at this point. Sound effects library, also outdated, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Because all it is just a bunch of free sound effects that someone has pulled down. I use StreamView for my streaming. StreamUtils is, yeah, it's not great. Stairways, actually. This is one that I feel like needs to be talked about a little bit. Let's click on our goober. Damn it. Horse. Thank you. So, if you want to do a multi-dimensional maze, stairways is one way to do it. It's nice and simple. You can click there, and click there. Notice the blue line that's connected between the two of them? That indicates that these two stairways are connected. Then your boy can go there, right click, and he's moved to the upper stairway. Because he doesn't have any light, he can't see where the stairs are now. As the GM, you can right click on either of these and lock the stairs from their use. Now, something else you can do. Make sure you clicked on the stairway controls, double click on it. You can link the scenes together. So I have a Minotaur Labyrinth and the Forest Shrine Festival. So my partner scene, I'm going to set to the Forest Shrine Festival. We're going to copy this ID. Then we're going to save. Delete those two. I'm just going to toggle navigation for that one so it's always there. Place stairs there. Status missing partner in current scene. That's fine because we're going to move it. Minotaur's Labyrinth. We've already copied our ID. Now, what it should do and it will transfer you over. This is how I do quick scene transitions for players, if I've had the time to actually set them up beforehand. Particularly with Abomination Vaults, it has a lot of stairs, a lot of passageways up and down. If you're playing it as written, for instance, I would have the stairways built in and have them set up before and in advance, because it is very easily possible for players to just kind of take the wrong turns, shall we say. Also be aware that if you have the same tokens on multiple different pages, this will happen. Just a thing to be aware of. But stairways is very useful. You can also use it to grant access to certain buildings. If you want to use secret passageways as well, it's one way to use it. Teleportation effects, also another thing. Because as the GM, you can just click on their token and just push them through. And the players can suddenly find themselves in a new place. One of the other cool options with it is you can make them invisible to the players. So they can't see it, but you can. Once again, helping you do that whole, well, we're going to transfer everyone to a new scene now. Depending on how I'm feeling, I will set that up in advance. There is a tutorial online through Bailey-wiki that basically shows you how to combine Token Attacher and the Stairways module in a way that when players use it, a little animation of a portal opens up, and it's pretty trippy. Manage modules. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I really want to go through. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. Those are the main ones I use. Like I said before, I actually have to go through a lot of this. Just quickly, we're gonna go to tiles. I'm gonna activate tile scroll. Mostly because it's come up a couple of times. We're gonna place a tile. Have an ocean one. Things I need to fix up and clean out. Actually, no, it's gonna be in... It's not, but it'll work either way. Ship tokens, we're gonna grab a galley. Resize it so people can have a proper look at it. Now, there used to be a more complicated way to do this using a module called Prolaxia, but with Tile Scroll, they made it a lot easier. Double click on your tile to bring it up. Animation, scroll, enabled. And it will just scroll the tile. It's how I do the ocean movement effect in Hoist the Colors. It's also how I do the chase scenes. The animation's really great because the direction is set to 360 degrees. So you can have it move and shift that way. You can also speed it up. So you can increase the intensity. If, for instance, you're running a chase encounter and you have everything on display, you can increase the speed to show that the intensity of the chase is continuing to increase. And we can switch that to 180. It's a super simple mod. I'm surprised no one did it sooner. But it's been out pretty much this year, I'm pretty sure. And it's just super simple and effective way to do a lot of that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we're gonna switch this to daylight. Delete 2 of our Minotaurs, because we do not need them. Other optional modules. You do not need these. You do not need to buy them. You do not need to purchase them. You do not need to worry about them. However, these are the ones that I recommend particularly for Pathfinder 2nd Edition if you're wanting to expand your bestiary. The first one is the lesser known one, Botanical Bestiary. Excuse the sound drop. The Botanical Bestiary will just give you a bunch of new leshies of all sorts, levels 1 to 22, that you can drag and drop into your games. The tokens are already set up and ready to go. I have met the guy behind it, Matt Kavanaugh is a really cool dude, and he's got a huge passion for third-party content for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I can't recommend the Botanical Beastry enough. He has the Gardener's Guide has already finished, but it is on BackerKit, I think, for pre-order and stuff like that, and I believe it will be as supportive Foundry-wise as the Botanical Beastry is. But you can get the Botanical Beastry from Drive-Thru RPG pretty easily. If you watch... Where's my Petrified? If you watch Abomination Vaults, you will have seen this one already. That was the Petrified Leshy that Eider talked to and found out a little bit of extra information of what was going on beneath the surface. We're gonna leave him there, because I like him there. The other one is, of course, the Battle Zoo stuff. I use both of these pretty extensively to give a little bit of extra variety. I haven't actually this will be my first time activating Strange and Unusual, so we're pretty much going to be looking at that together. Also, considering we're getting to about time, I'm going to start lining up a raid target. Got plenty of options. MVNJ. There's options. If someone has a suggestion, I am open to it. I have been known to be partial to the Strange and Unusual. Well, actors, Beastry Browser. Battle Zoo Beastry. I'm gonna go for Strange and Unusual. But as you can tell here, they have all of the tokens all set up and ready to go. Goblin Circus Troop. Okay, that is pretty cool. Have they done different token borders for everything? Oh no, they just got a default one that they're working on. That's easy done. Crystalline Owl. But these all have their art and everything installed. This is one of the big reasons I use Battle Zoo Beastry over a lot of other Beastries, just because the token art and everything else is already built into it. It just makes things easy for me. The less I have to go scraping for tokens, the better. I don't always get as much time as I would like to prepare for a session, so being able to grab things in quickly is very much a priority for me. But no, it looks like they've done a great job on it. Because these are... I don't know, I kind of prefer their old borders for the tokens. A Tree of Eyes, did I miss something? Right here. Oh. Okay. Oh no, yeah, no, I saw this one. Just so people can get the better look at it. But yeah. I'm currently working on a Dark Forest adventure, and I will probably be using this. Not gonna lie, it's in the right level bracket and everything. Yo, what are the details of this thing? A tree of ice is actually a parasitic fungus that burrows throughout a living tree, killing it in the process. Oh, okay. Hanging its exposed eyes from the branches, creatures that make eye contact with one of these eyes are mesmerized and feel an intense urge to sleep at the base of the tree. The tree then engulfs the prey with its roots and slowly drains the creature of its nutrients. Although the host of a tree of eyes is stationary, the fungus itself is not. It can move between these trees as easily as a human can walk. Oh, it's Eider! Wow. And they've got the built-in things for suggested monster parts. That's good. That's one thing I wanted to look at. Gross. But yeah, I think that's about it. Unless anyone had any other questions. MVNG is currently streaming Pathfinder. And they're only about an hour in. Yeah, we might give them a happy little raid. Nay. Alright. Well, like I said, we're gonna raid NVNG. NVNG. Did that work? It worked. Excellent. We're gonna raid into them. As always, this has been Tabletop Obscura presenting Foundational Foundry. I hope this was useful for people. I hope people liked it. I'm gonna see if I can cut this up and stuff and put it onto YouTube. Otherwise, the VOD for this, as always, will be up on YouTube within like 48 hours, maybe a little bit more. I do have a lot of stuff on at the moment. Otherwise, we'll be back here at 10 AM for Let's Build a Super Dungeon, where we're doing the final room for the forest level that we're currently on. So I would suggest that people who are tuning in for that have a theme for the next floor ready and able to go. Otherwise, yeah, we're just gonna do a quick little raid, but I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good week, no matter where you are in the world. And remember, as always, we are the storytellers. Goodbye, everyone!